Hello and welcome back to Coffee English. Today, I want to share something really exciting with you. We are going to talk about background English learning. This is when you listen to English while doing other things, like cooking or walking. This episode will help you understand if background learning really works. You will learn simple ways to use this method in your daily life. This is very useful because it can help you improve your English even when you are busy with other activities. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to use background learning to get better at English. You will understand what works and what does not work. You will have easy steps you can start using right away. The question we are asking today is simple. Can you improve your English just by having English sounds playing in the background? Some people believe this works very well. Others think it is not helpful. Today, we will find out the truth. Have you ever noticed how children learn languages so easily? Scientists have studied this for many years. They found something very interesting about how children pick up languages. Children who grow up hearing different languages around them often become good at speaking multiple languages. They learn these languages naturally, without studying grammar books or taking formal classes. They just hear the languages every day and slowly understand them better. This makes us wonder, can adults do the same thing? Can we learn English better by just listening to it more often? If children can learn languages naturally by hearing them, maybe adults can too. Think about this. Your brain is always listening to sounds around you. Even when you are not paying attention, your brain still hears things. So maybe we can use this natural ability to help us learn English better. This is exactly what we are going to explore today. We will see if background English learning can really help you improve your language skills. First main point, active learning versus passive learning. Let me explain the difference between active learning and passive learning. This is very important to understand. Active learning happens when you focus completely on studying English. You read books, write notes, do grammar exercises, or practice speaking. Your brain is working hard to learn new things. When you do active learning, you are completely focused on English. You might sit at your desk with books and papers. You make a plan about what to study. You test yourself to see if you remember new words. Passive learning is different. This happens when English comes into your ears, but you are not trying to study it. You might be listening to English music while cleaning your house. Your brain still hears the English, but you are not focusing on it. You are not taking notes or trying to memorize anything. You are just living your normal life while English sounds are around you. Here is something interesting. Your brain is very good at finding patterns. Even when you are not paying attention, your brain still notices things. It hears which sounds come together often. It notices how sentences are built. Your brain works like a computer that is always running in the background. For example, imagine you are cooking dinner while listening to an English podcast. You are thinking about the recipe, cutting vegetables, and stirring the pot. But your brain is still hearing the English words. It notices that some words always come together. It hears the rhythm of English sentences. It learns how questions sound different from statements. Scientists did a study about this. They played foreign language sounds to people while they were doing other activities. The people were playing computer games, reading magazines, or doing puzzles. Later, these people got better at hearing the differences between sounds in that language. This happened even though they were not trying to learn. The researchers were surprised by these results. They expected that people would need to pay attention to learn anything. But the brain is more powerful than they thought. It can learn even when we are not trying to learn. But remember this important point. Passive learning alone is not enough. It works best when you combine it with active learning. Think of passive learning as a helper, not a replacement for regular studying. You still need to do grammar exercises, practice speaking, and read English texts. But background learning can make all of these activities more effective. Second main point, how your brain processes language in the background. Now let me tell you what happens in your brain when you listen to English in the background. When English sounds are playing around you, your brain does not stop working. Even if you are thinking about something else, part of your brain is still listening. It is like having a helper that never stops working. Your brain has different parts that do different jobs. One part helps you walk. Another part helps you remember things. And another part is always listening to sounds around you. Your brain is always looking for patterns. It notices which words often come together. It learns how English sounds when people ask questions versus when they make statements. It remembers how stressed and unstressed words sound different. For example, your brain notices that people often say, "How are you?" not "how you are." It hears that questions usually go up at the end, while statements go down. This process is called statistical learning. Your brain counts how often certain things happen together. After hearing many examples, your brain starts to expect certain patterns. It is like your brain is keeping a secret notebook of all the patterns it finds. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you hear these sentences many times. I am going to the store. I am going to work. I am going to school. Your brain notices that I am going to appears many times. It learns that this is a common pattern in English. Later, when you want to say where you are going, this pattern will feel natural to you. Scientists did an experiment with made-up languages. They created fake languages with special rules. They played these fake languages to people while they were doing other tasks. The people were not told about the language rules. They were just doing normal activities like reading or drawing. Later, these people could tell the difference between correct and incorrect sentences in the fake language. They learned the rules without even trying. This is amazing when you think about it. The people learned grammar rules for a language that does not even exist. They did this without studying, without teachers, and without books. Their brains just figured out the patterns by hearing them many times. This means your brain can learn English patterns just by hearing them many times. When you hear natural English speech regularly, your brain builds an understanding of how English should sound. It learns the music of English, the rhythm, the stress patterns, and the intonation. Your brain also learns about English vocabulary this way. When you hear words in different contexts, your brain starts to understand their meanings. You might hear the word fantastic in many different situations. Your brain notices that people say this word when they are happy about something. Slowly, you understand the meaning without looking in a dictionary. But here is something important. The English you listen to should be at the right level for you. If it is too easy, your brain will not learn much. It already knows these patterns. If it is too hard, your brain cannot understand the patterns. There are too many unknown words and structures. The best level is just a little bit harder than what you already know. This is called comprehensible input. Third main point, the best conditions for background learning. Now I want to tell you when and how background learning works best. First, timing is very important. Background learning works best when you are doing simple activities. These are things that do not require much thinking. For example, washing dishes, walking, exercising, or cleaning your room. These activities use your hands and body, but not much of your brain power. This leaves mental space for your brain to process the English sounds. Think about washing dishes. Your hands are busy, but your mind is free. You are not solving complex problems or making important decisions. You are just following a simple routine. This is perfect for background learning. Your brain can focus on the English sounds while your hands do the familiar work. Walking is another excellent activity for background learning. When you walk in familiar places, you do not need to think much about where you are going. Your body knows the routine. Your brain can use this time to process English sounds. Many language learners find that walking while listening to English helps them remember better. Do not use background English when you are doing difficult tasks. If you are reading important documents, studying for exams, or having serious conversations, your brain is too busy. It cannot process the English properly. Your brain has limited attention. When you use all your attention for difficult tasks, there is nothing left for language learning. For example, do not listen to English podcasts while you are driving in heavy traffic. Driving requires your full attention for safety. Do not listen to English while you are having important phone calls in your native language. Your brain needs to focus on the conversation. Second, you need to choose the right content. The best background English includes natural speech, different vocabulary, and real pronunciation. Good choices are podcasts, audiobooks, news programs, and documentaries. These have real people speaking naturally. They use varied vocabulary and normal pronunciation. Podcasts are especially good for background learning. They usually have 2 or 3 people having natural conversations. They speak at a normal speed with natural pauses. They use everyday vocabulary mixed with more advanced words. This gives your brain a good mix of familiar and new patterns. Audiobooks are also excellent. When professional readers read books aloud, they use clear pronunciation and natural rhythm. They emphasize important words and use appropriate intonation. This helps your brain learn how English should sound. News programs are useful because they use formal, clear English. The speakers have good pronunciation and speak at a moderate speed. They use professional vocabulary, which can help you learn more sophisticated words. Avoid content with loud music, sound effects, or artificial voices. Your brain needs to hear clear speech sounds. If there is too much noise, your brain cannot separate the English words from other sounds. Music and sound effects compete with speech for your brain's attention. Also, avoid content with very strong accents or very fast speech when you are beginning background learning. Your brain needs time to get used to normal English patterns first. Later, when you are more advanced, you can add variety to your listening. Third, regular practice is more important than long practice. It is better to listen for 30 minutes every day than to listen for 3 hours once a week. Your brain needs regular practice to build strong connections. Language learning is like physical exercise. Daily practice builds strength better than occasional long sessions. When you listen to English every day, your brain gets used to English sounds. It starts to expect English patterns. This makes it easier to understand and speak English. But if you only listen once a week, your brain forgets the patterns between sessions. It has to start learning again each time. Scientists studied people who used background listening for 6 months. People who listened every day improved much more than people who listened only sometimes. They got better at understanding English, their pronunciation improved, and they became more fluent. The daily listeners also felt more confident speaking English. The researchers found that consistency was more important than the total hours of listening. People who listened for 30 minutes daily did better than people who listened for 4 hours once a week. This surprised some people, but it makes sense when you understand how the brain learns. Fourth main point: how to make background learning work better. Let me share some smart ways to make your background learning more effective. Use what I call step-by-step difficulty. Start with English that is a little easier than your level for the first week. Then slowly choose harder content. This helps your brain feel confident while learning new things. When your brain feels successful, it wants to continue learning. If the content is too difficult from the beginning, your brain might feel frustrated and stop trying. For example, if you are at intermediate level, start with content made for beginners for the first week. This builds your confidence and helps your brain get used to English sounds. Then move to true intermediate content. After a few weeks, you can try some advanced content mixed with intermediate materials. Pay attention to repeated phrases. When you hear the same expressions many times in your background content, your brain remembers them better. These become like anchor points that help you remember pronunciation and usage. Common phrases like, on the other hand, as a matter of fact, or to be honest, appear frequently in natural English. When you hear them many times, they become part of your natural English vocabulary. Keep a mental note of these repeated phrases. You do not need to write them down during background listening, but notice when you hear them. Later, try to use these phrases when you speak English. This helps move them from passive knowledge to active use. Sometimes switch from passive to active listening. When you hear something interesting during background listening, stop and repeat it out loud. This connects your passive and active learning. For example, if you hear a nice phrase while washing dishes, pause and say it aloud. This creates a stronger memory connection. You can also ask yourself quick questions about what you just heard. What was the main topic? What was the speaker's opinion? This brief active engagement helps your brain process the information more deeply. Choose content about topics you like. If you enjoy cooking, listen to cooking shows. If you like technology, choose tech podcasts. When the topic interests you, your brain pays more attention even during background listening. Interest is a powerful motivator for learning. When you care about the topic, your brain works harder to understand the content. This also helps with vocabulary learning. If you listen to content about your hobbies or interests, you will learn vocabulary that is useful for you. A person who loves gardening will benefit more from gardening podcasts than from business podcasts. The gardening vocabulary will be more relevant and easier to remember. Try echo practice sometimes. While listening in the background, occasionally repeat words or phrases you hear. You do not need to stop your other activity. This helps your speaking muscles and creates stronger memories. For example, if you hear "that's interesting" while folding laundry, you can quietly repeat "that's interesting" while continuing to fold clothes. This echo practice helps train your mouth muscles to make English sounds. It also helps your brain connect hearing English with speaking English. Do not worry about being perfect. Just repeat what you can when it feels natural. Keep a simple notebook of interesting phrases you hear during background listening. Write down words or expressions that catch your attention. Look at this notebook once a week to remember what you learned. This does not need to be complicated. Just write down phrases that you found useful or interesting. For example, you might write, "That makes sense," or "I hadn't thought of that," or "What do you think about?" These are phrases that native speakers use all the time. When you collect them and review them, they become part of your active vocabulary. Review your notebook regularly. Try to use these phrases in your conversations or writing. This helps move the phrases from background knowledge to active use. The goal is not just to recognize these phrases, but to use them naturally in your own English. In every episode, I like to share a useful phrase with you. Today, I have a perfect expression that connects to our topic. Your phrase of the day is, to pick up something naturally. This phrase means to learn something without formal lessons, just through experience and exposure. It perfectly describes what happens with background learning. For example, children pick up languages naturally by hearing them every day. Or, he picked up the accent naturally after living in Australia for a year. This phrase is great because it shows how learning can happen in a relaxed, natural way. When you use background English learning regularly, you will pick up pronunciation, vocabulary, and speech patterns naturally. So, let us remember the most important points from today. Background learning works because your brain is always looking for patterns, even when you are not actively studying. It works best when you combine it with regular studying, not instead of it. The best conditions are simple activities, good content, and daily practice. Your brain never stops processing sounds around you. By using background English audio smartly, you can create an English-rich environment that helps you learn faster. Start using these ideas today. Choose 30 minutes of background English every day during routine activities. Pick content that is slightly above your current level. Notice your progress and change your method based on what works for you. Please subscribe to Coffee English for more practical English learning tips. If this episode helped you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other English learners. Your support helps us make more content that really helps you learn. Remember, every moment of English exposure helps you improve. Background learning helps you use these moments, even on your busiest days. Thank you for listening to Coffee English today. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep improving your English naturally and effectively. Until next time, remember that learning English is a journey, and every small step helps you move forward. This has been Coffee English, and I will see you in the next episode.